धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे.
Today's episode includes Gita Dhyana Shloka, review of the chapter, self-analysis, and recitation of important shlokas.
ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. Salutations to Krishna, the Parijata tree, or the Kalpatru, or the bestower of all desires for those who take refuge in him, the holder of the whip in one hand and the wielder of the symbol of knowledge, and the milker of the nectar of Bhagavad Gita. Welcome to Vedic Treasure. This is Shretika Manoj. If you're new to the channel, please click the links below in the description box for the previous episodes. So today we present you the last part of the video series of Chapter 1. The first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, as you all know, is the introduction to the teachings of Gita in the form of dialogues between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. This introductory chapter serves two purposes. The first one being description of the basic human problem called samsara. It is called basic as it is universal irrespective of religion, age, nationality, etc. Vyasacharya described this in the first chapter, as in the rest of the chapters in Gita serve as the remedy to this samsara. As you have seen in the previous episode, we explained samsara to be a combination of raga, shoka and moha. Raga is an attachment or emotional dependence on something or someone. Attachment is a trait of a samsari which is born out of a weak mind who is not happy with itself. It is a psychological crutch which makes us disappointed when the object goes away, as whatever we are attached to is impermanent. This leads to shoka or sorrow. When our intellect is clouded by raga and shoka, we take a wrong decision, which leads us to the path of adharma. The second purpose that is introduced in this first chapter is the Guru Shishya Parampara, which acts like a guide. Solving this problem of samsara, we need a guide because self-medication is dangerous. Hence, the dialogues between the Guru and Shishya forms the content of the Gita. The qualification of a Shishya is to identify and understand where the problem lies, and the qualification of Guru is to know the remedy and free the Shishya from the problem of samsara. How do we conduct ourselves in this material world? Totally depends on our state of mind. Our minds are always in conflict, primarily between the rational and the ego side of our brain. Today's episode is all about analyzing ourselves. In the previous two episodes, we discussed about Arjuna's dilemma and the problems, and we have diagnosed the issue too. But let's see what goes on in our mind and analyze the situations which trigger and ignite the wrong situations, right or wrong situations.
Time to self-analyze ourselves. Let's look into the functions of the mind and the intellect. A human being has been given a human body, mind and intellect. The body has the sense organs which are divided into Gyanendriyas and Karmendriyas. The Gyanendriyas are the ear, nose, eyes, skin and tongue. Karmendriyas are the hand, legs, speech, the reproductive organs and genital organs. The intellect has been divided into gross intellect and subtle intellect. The functions of all them are: the body collects information from the sense organs, the mind reacts to it, and the intellect processes this data. The mind acts like a traffic light, which allows the right information and as well as the wrong information. It is up to the intellect to decide and differentiate between the right and wrong. Let's see, what does the gross intellect differentiate? The gross intellect differentiates between the right and wrong, the auspicious and the inauspicious, the pious and the sinful activities, the selfless and the selfish actions, active and the passive actions, energetic and lazy actions. The subtle intellect differentiates between the truth and the untruth, the permanent and the impermanent, the reality, the myth, the consciousness and the ignorance. The whole idea is to strengthen the human intellect. How do we go about it? We need to choose our thoughts and activities according to discriminating quality of good and bad. The good thoughts or activities will lead to uplifting path, which is called the Shreyas, and the degrading thoughts and activities will lead to the Preyas path. Here I have indicated the Shreyas in green color and the Preyas in the red color. Let's have a look at the Gyanendriyas and the Karmendriyas and the activities or the information that it sends to the intellect. So if we like to hear flattery about ourselves, gossip, untruth and boasting, this leads to the Preyas. If we like to hear the truth, reality and the good, it leads to the Shreyas path. If we like to see evil, shameful and vulgar activities, it leads to Preyas. But if we like to see the noble, holy and supreme qualities, it will lead to Shreyas path. If we enjoy impure smells, tamasic smells, it leads to Preyas. Whereas if we enjoy pure smells, sattvic smell, it leads to Shreyas. The tongue, if it likes to eat non-vegetarian and more spicy food, it leads to Preyas. Whereas if you like the sattvic food and the taste, it leads to Shreyas. The skin, if it likes extreme hot and cold climates or the food, extremely hot and cold food, it leads to Preyas. Whereas if it likes moderation, it leads to Shreyas. Now the Karmendriyas. The speech, if you prefer harsh, bitter, dishonest, negative speech, this will lead to Preyas. Whereas if it is honest, inspiring, sweet and truthful, it leads to Shreyas. If you like to accumulate wealth, steal and never help, this leads to Preyas. But whereas if you like to share, always help and care for others, it leads to Shreyas. If your legs go to gambling, bars, and bad company, lazy people, lazy company, it leads to prayers. Whereas if you go to places of inspiration and good company, it leads to shreyas. Reproductive organs. If you are tempted for more physical activity, physical intimacy, it leads to non-creativity and as well leads to the preyas path. Whereas if your physical urge, intimacy urge is controlled, your creative, noble ideas and artistic ideas will enhance, hence it will lead to the Shreyas path. Genital organs. If you experience constipation, weak immunity, and this shows the inability of your body to eliminate the toxins, this leads to prayers. Whereas if you have healthy excretory muscles and which helps in properly eliminating the toxins, it leads to Shreyas path. Hence, we understand what all activities and thoughts lead us to the Shreyas and Preyas path. So you can see why Rishi Vedavyasa must have presented two situations, two parts in the epic Mahabharata, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. The Kauravas, that is, when a blinded mind is partnered with blinded intellect, what we get is 101 degrading tendencies which lead to the preyas path. Whereas Pandavas, when a pure mind is partnered with strong intellect and pure consciousness, what we get is five uplifting tendencies which are able to fight the 101 degrading tendencies. Hence, they lead to the Shreyas path. So, how do we resolve these conflicts of mind? Practically, eliminating the degrading tendencies is not very easy. So, our scriptures suggest us to focus on the strengths, the uplifting tendencies. So, what are the qualities required to do so? Let's look at the Pandavas and see what qualities do they possess which we can utilize to strengthen our intellect. Pandu was married to Kunti and Madri. From Kunti they had Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna. From Madri they had Nakula and Sahadeva. The qualities are Yudhishthira was very selfless in nature. His actions were completely selfless and without desire. He only wanted to walk in the path of Dharma. Hence, the first quality is to be selfless in nature. Bhima. Bhima, as you all know, was strong amongst all the other Pandavas. But what is this strong or strength? Is it just pumping muscles? No, it actually signifies one who can overcome all his fears. Let's look at Arjuna. Arjuna's quality was thoughtfulness. He used to think all situations carefully and then act. Hence, the third quality which we require is thoughtfulness. Nakula. Nakula is someone who never gets anxious or disturbed by any situation. He keeps patience in any given situation. Hence, the quality of patience. And the last, Sahadeva, who was always surrendered to the higher purpose, devotion. So, the last quality is to have devotion in our mind. So, what do we understand? The higher qualities always supersede the degrading tendencies. Hence, first decide your path, then choose your action.
Hence, we can say that the root cause of all sorrows and sufferings in this world is our inability to deal with conflict. This is the message the Chapter 1 provides us with. Conflict is everywhere, and the sooner we understand this universal truth about the conflict and its impact, the sooner we progress personally, socially, and ultimately spiritually. As Arjuna asked Sri Krishna to take the chariot in the middle of the battlefield to view both the armies, I would like you to detach yourself from the right and the wrong and come to the center and analyze yourself. Till then, take care and stay tuned for the next chapter. If you'd like to chant along with us, please check out the Uninterrupted Chant of the Chapter 1 with the link below in the description box.
भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतां समवेतान् कुरूनिति सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् त्वक् चैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं ब्रह्मतीव च मे मनः येषाम् अर्थे कंसितं नो राजयं भोगसुखानि च त इमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणस्त्यक्त्वा धनानि च नियतः धातराष्ट्राणां कप्रीति स्यात् जनार्दन सञ्जय उवाच एवं मुक्त्वा अर्जुना सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थ उपविशात् विसृज्याशाशरं चापं शोकसंविघ्नमानसम्